one person on the team said, "Hey, everything's on fire. What are you going to do about it?" Or everything's on fire. I hope you have a plan. And at the time, I took a lot of offense to that. And I think now I actually, actually really appreciate that comment. One, it stuck with me. And so I think that it's really important to remember that when things are on fire, you don't have to have a plan, but you have to actually, that is when you take a step back and you can take a breather. You look at yourself and you look at, hey, what could I be doing better here? How do I want to come off and how do I want to be remembered? Mm-hmm.
Welcome to 99 Humans. My name is Jeff Lakusta, curious coach and Wall Street Journal best-selling author, striving to understand how little things generate big impact.
And I'm Nadia, Carta, tech executive and lifestyle coach with a mission to transform lives and corporations by kindling hearts to generate a zeal for life.
Each week, we investigate stories about the human side of leadership to re-energize your spirit and help you become a stronger leader.
Because the reality is that leadership is messy, goofy, challenging, but always human.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Let's dive in.
Thank you, first of all. I didn't know you were in San Francisco, and so knowing this is very early for you. So I appreciate your time today.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, of course, happy to be here. And yeah, I think Jeff had reached out originally. And yeah, a friend of mine from when he lived here. But yeah, no, happy to be here. I'm a little bit of an early riser. I don't mind mornings that much. So for me, it's not too bad. How about yourself? Where are you dialing in from?
So I'm in New York, and I wanted to double click real quick on this early riser thing you just said. I know a lot of people in West Coast are early riser because of the time zone of a lot of people based in New York. Is that the reason why you're an early riser?
I would say part yes and part no. I'd say for me, I've been doing global roles for, I think at this point, since truly 2017. And so as a result, I've always had some direct reports or cross-functional partners based in London or Paris. And so as a result, I kind of got used to a lot of early morning meetings. And then at that point, you're like, okay, let me just throw in a workout. Let me just get a good coffee routine going. So it just sort of kind of escalated into being an early morning person. But I definitely was not an early morning person in my 20s or earlier. I would stay in bed as long as I could.
I'm asking all these questions because I'm still defining if I'm an early riser, if I'm more, what is the other one? They say either you're an owl or an early riser. And I had phases in my life that I would be comfortable in waking up at 6, especially if I was traveling so much and all of it. Mm-hmm. And then after the kids, I have 2 girls, I'm a little bit more in between. Like when I can sleep until 7:30, it feels a miracle. So what early riser is for you? Like how early?
I think that if you're getting up before the sun rises, that's even like a different level of early riser. I would say like this morning I got up before the sun rose, but that's not a normal thing. I think that if you're getting up at least 1 hour to an hour and a half before you start work, that for me defines an early riser, because it's not like you're getting out of work and everything. You're going from, activity to activity to make it straight into the office, and you're just getting up to go to work. It's kind of like you're getting up to enjoy your morning, pursue a hobby, get yourself in the right mindset. I think that if you're setting intentional time to do that, that's for me what defines an early riser.
I love what you said about being intentional, because I don't know if you listen all of these podcasters out there. There's so many people lately that are talking on how be an early riser and see the sun. And I mean, Dr. Uberman shares a lot about this. And so a part of me feels that is the trend of the moment. But also when I think about our, grandparents and how people used to live life before that was in line with the lights of nature. I'm a big fan of, setting up and living your life according to the cycles. And so, clearly we cannot finish working at 3 p.m. in winter.
I would love that. Don't get me wrong. If you're going to be going for it, I will totally support you on this journey. I will evangelize stopping work at 3 p.m. in the winter. I think that, Yeah, and then figuring out some nighttime activity to do for like the 15 hours of darkness that we have on average.
I mean, I love darkness in general, but so what do you do in what do you do in San Francisco? Like I heard that Jeff.
Yes, yeah. So I know Jeff through mutual friends. We met, I think, when I first moved here back in 2016. And when I moved here was kind of my foray into tech, and then going from tech job to another tech job. And, as tech works, it's been a little turbulent over the last, we can say 3 years, but really like tech has been turbulent since it started. But right now I'm the global head of product marketing at TikTok for a set of products called TikTok Creator Marketing Solutions. And what those are basically, if you imagine TikTok is this vast network of users, and these users can become creators. If you're posting on TikTok, you're a creator on TikTok. And so the idea is that for those creators who are really taking it a little bit more seriously, developing their own brand, having access to their own audience, how do we actually help them monetize their content via brand sponsorships? And so it's all around creating tools and accessibility for not only a breadth of creators, but also allowing brands to be able to really find and identify and partner with those creators who are uniquely right for them, and allow that brand access to these new audiences in really an authentic and meaningful way. If you think about influencer marketing, or even like way back when, we can go back to like the 1950s, but let's maybe not go back that far. Let's think about, people are posting makeup content, or people are posting food content, and they're genuinely creating things from scratch, or creating looks from scratch that they really enjoy and they feel like are true and authentic to them. And, those all are products that are being sold today by big companies, small companies. And so really what it is it's really this matchmaking process of making sure that the brands and creators can find each other, partner with each other, so that at the end of the day, audiences and users can like see sets of products, be exposed to new sets of information, and then like really believe that what they're seeing is a true take.
Well, I don't know how much Jeff told you about me, but I'm an aspiring creator here.
Lovely. Yes, this is great. This is great. Creator Talk 101 in the morning. I'm here for it.
So literally, I didn't know what was your responsibility, right? I just knew I've read a couple of things about you, and then I literally ran my first Instagram campaign, advertising campaign last week.
Congratulations. Wait, can you say who it's with or what you did? Or
well, it's for my own products, because
okay.
I am the influencer of myself. So
got it.
I opened my LLC in August, and I published a journal, and my other journal is coming out, and then a few other products. And so I literally advertise for myself. I'm my own influencer. However, I'm also writing my influencer marketing strategy for 2024 for the 2 new products that I have out. And
well, let me know if you need any tips or advice. I know a few people know a couple things about the space, so happy to help.
I mean, I will take it, because my TikTok strategy at the moment is very nascent, if not close to zero. I feel I have a better handle of Instagram, I have a better handle of LinkedIn, but everyone has been telling me that I need to get on TikTok.
I would agree with all of these people. You definitely need to get on TikTok. Yeah, I mean, all the platforms are just they're really different. I think that while we like to think that they each maybe have their niches, a lot of like, weird uncertainty, fear, doubt around this platform is only going to access business professionals, or this platform is only going to access millennials, and like TikTok is only for Gen Z. And that's not really true. When you think about, especially TikTok, and I don't want to make this like the TikTok promotional happy hour.
Oh, what can I change topic quickly?
Perfect.
Like finish, but then.
Yeah, no, but with all the platforms in general, I mean, at the end of the day, people are humans who are watching this content, and humans will kind of have their behavioral patterns. I mean, for me personally, yes, I work at TikTok, but I really use all three. Honestly, I scroll on LinkedIn actually a lot more. It's a very kind of addictive product than even on some of these other social networks. And so I think that at the end of the day, it's whenever you're building an audience, whenever you're trying to monetize that audience as a creator, it's about remembering that like they more likely than not, people are complex. People have a diverse set of interests. And therefore, you need to actually reach them on a diverse set of places to really kind of get your point or your product across. So I think all products, all places, there's not like one linear audience or one strategy for each platform.
I love it. We don't have the 99 Humans spin-off on technology, but you are making me think that this would be interesting.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'll hear Ted's Tech Hour. We can do it. I'm here for it.
I love it. It's funny because I work at Google with Jeff. And so I have so many personas on social media. There's the Nadia that goes on stage and speaks about AI and first-party data and GA4. Then there's the Nadia that is the woo-woo spiritual witch and all of that. Then there's the Nadia streaming. It's crazy. So I love that, what you said, because the audience is not linear. They want to have multiple experiences. What I'll say, Ted, is knowing what tech and how tech is right now, and it seems that you are a leader of a team, that you have so many responsibilities. I mean, your job, what I hear from my friends at your company is that you operate under a lot of pressure and there's a lot of objectives that need to be accomplished. All of that with someone on a global team sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in general, I would say, yes, it is a lot, but I think that any global team at any tech company is a lot as well. I think that in general, TikTok is a place that just the company has just really grown so fast. And, at the end of the day, with any kind of entertainment platform, it's really about sort of where the audiences are and what they want to see and how we can actually, again, foster that matchmaking. So I would say it's probably on par with any really fast growing tech company. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to work there. Mm-hmm. And the upside of a fast growing tech company is, as my dad says, at a company that's growing, everyone's happy. At a company that's not, no one's happy. And so I think that you do have a lot of people who are really working hard, again, working on this kind of mutual goal to achieve this mutual goal of really, whatever their function is. But at the end of the day, bringing the audiences the right kind of content and then creating a platform for these creators to speak. The downside of that is that a lot of the work, a lot of the bugs, basically everything that you're working on does, there's always a lot of competing priorities. And so you have to be really, really good. I think people can say, oh, you have to really be good at prioritization. You have to really be good at understanding the important things. The reality is that we're humans. So like, it's very, very difficult in any given day to know what that, which of those areas is going to have the most impact. So I think it is a lot to work there, which is why for me, the number one skill for anyone who works at TikTok or any big tech platform is really to have a good handle on self and really how to keep yourself grounded in situations, to take a step back and kind of look at not only everything you have to do, the challenges you're facing, the emotions that people have on your team, not just those you manage, but also your cross-functional peers, and then kind of reading between the lines of your management to really look at everything and kind of take a step back, even on a daily basis, to say what is important and meaningful, but also like, how do I want to come off today? And how do I want to be remembered? And how do I want to remember this experience? So to the refutation of the point
I'm going to pause you, Ted, a minute, because you said a lot of things that...
Sorry.
No, it's all good. But if you know 99 Humans, we know that Jeff and I are known to go deep.
Let's do it. Okay. All right.
And ask some follow-up questions. Specifically, I was really touched by your comment on when you are in a corporation, you really need to have a good handle of yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And so if this was a normal podcast, I would ask you, how do you develop a good way to get a handle of yourself? I'm not going to ask you that. And instead, I want to ask you, how come? Meaning, have you ever had a moment in your career, either in this corporation or others, where you didn't have a good handle of yourself? And how that impacted your leadership style, and what did you learn through that experience?
Yeah, that's a great question, and there's kind of like there's a lot of colloquialism or sentences about like pressure makes diamonds, or growth is where stress meets up. What is it? Stress meets rest, or some of these like Gary V inspirational quotes that kind of pop around on LinkedIn. For me, I have like a there's a few what I call sort of transformational moments that occur in your life, and I think usually when I meet someone, if I'm really curious about them, I'll like flat out ask them, like, tell me about 3 transformational moments in your life. They can be work related or they can be personal. Some people respond better to that than others, I would say, but there's really there's like absolutely throughout my career there's been I would even say like less than 5 transformational moments that I can really look back on and say this really shaped me as a person. And I think that all of those come from a moment where you feel frankly really out of control and you feel very vulnerable at that opportunity. And that's really where you have to take a step back and really listen to your peers and people around you, and really allow people allow people to express their challenges, be curious and lead with curiosity, and then go from there. And so I'll tell you this really, kind of for me, one of the most transformational moments that I had, which was I was running a global team. It was my first time running a global team. This was back in 2018. And basically, if you think about like we had these like 5 pillars, I had a lead that was in EMEA, and she ran EMEA and APAC. I had one that ran East Coast operations, one that ran West Coast, an engineer, and then a data scientist. And we were doing a mix of innovation product, which is creating, new products for the company that I was at, as well as basically running a professional services organization. So effectively like pitching our own work, marketing our own work, and then executing against that same work. And when we were kind of growing so quickly, growing so quickly, and the team really was all everyone on their own was kind of like also learning new skills. We got into a situation where basically everyone on the team was miserable. Everyone on the team was outwardly miserable, for different reasons. We had one person who was really learning how to become a manager, and part of being a manager, half of it is really, I would say the easy half is really working with people who are, hire excellent people, coach excellent people. They're really, really easy and they're good to grow. People think that the side of management that they want is kind of the easy side, which is you hire great people, you coach those great people. They excel, they do their thing. They're kind of, by your side, and everyone meets their goals. That's like the easy part of it. I think the hard part is like what happens when you're actually working with people who are struggling or not really getting their part of the job. And so I was coaching someone through really managing someone who was struggling, which is very different to kind of be on the other side and just kind of say, hey, you can do it, or we can keep doing it. Like, you got this, rather than being able to really actively participate in it. I had another person who was really suffering from burnout and over workload just based on resource allocation. I had a third person who was basically suffering from burnout in her role. And there was like an executive at the company that told her like she would basically never be able to accomplish her dreams of becoming a data scientist, which made things much worse. And we'll get into that one later. And then I had a fourth person on the team who was really struggling with personal issues at home. That was something that's really not necessarily the business of a manager, but does impact kind of the quality of the work and the quality of the atmosphere. And so for me, what I had was basically people were coming to me and they're saying, hey, Ted, everything's going wrong on your team. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So
wait a moment. The people that were coming to you to tell you that, who were these people? Like people that were observing? Where do they coming from in your...
They were observing. They were my manager. They were people on the team as well. I had one person on the team said, hey, everything's on fire. What are you going to do about it? Or everything's on fire. I hope you have a plan. And at the time, I took a lot of offense to that. And I think now I actually, actually really appreciate that comment. One, it stuck with me. And so I think that it's really important to remember that when things are on fire, you don't have to have a plan, but you have to actually, that is when you take a step back and you can take a breather. You look at yourself and you look at, hey, what could I be doing better here? How do I want to come off and how do I want to be remembered?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to poke a little here.
Yes, of course.
So you said that back then you reacted differently, meaning, so those people were coming, they were telling you things, and you said you were a little defensive also.
I mean, I was defensive because the fact that I had, frankly, I had like just taken over this team. I had just hired all of these team members, and when you're when you're hiring people, it's not just about you and your enterprise, your team. Again, for me, a good manager actually cares much more about the success of their team. They work in service of the people that they manage to really ensure that they're developing the skills that they want to develop, that they're collecting the stories that they want to collect, that they have work-life balance, but also that they are, being fairly compensated and fairly treated in the workplace. And I think if you're not doing those four things as a manager, I would question, why you're in management. And people can be in management for very different reasons. Like you can do it just to have professional gain. You can do it to make more money. But I think that if you're really going to be a good people manager, you have to, again, pay attention to those four things. So for me, why I felt defensive in those situations was because the fact that, I didn't want to fail, and I didn't like that I was trying something new, and that my strategy, my vision, how I wanted to come off was not the way that things were happening. I didn't like that my team, who were representatives of me and representatives of my management style and representatives of the team culture that we had within the larger company culture, I didn't like that they were getting the short end of the stick, and that they were unhappy. Like for me, that kind of gets into fairness, and that gets into accountability in the workplace. And, honestly,
like what, because you seem so genuine and so focused on being a great person and manager there. What do you think was missing?
So at the time, what was missing was honestly, I think, direction. If I want to look back into it at a tech company, it's very, very easy to just say, all right, everyone get on your shoes and run in whatever direction you can move as quickly as you can. From my standpoint, I kind of went in with a very clear viewpoint on what I thought consulting should be, and what I thought product development should be, and what I thought innovation should be. And what I learned was that can be the case, and it could be the case from previous companies, but it was not the case at where it currently was. And it wasn't the case at where I was at the time. And as a result, I think what I learned is you have to kind of cater your management style. You have to cater your strategy, in part to really your environment. You have to be adaptable. And so part of that is my manager recommended. He said, "Hey, things are a little bit off the rails right now." And by the way, this favorite manager like ever had, like legendary people manager. And he said, "Things are off the rails right now. I recommend you go talk to your peers, people who really have the success of your function in your hand, and just talk to them as a human, ask them what they need. Don't try to push through your strategy, but collaborate with them on understanding what that middle ground is between your team and their team, how you can work together and how your teams can work together to really solve mutual problems."
Yeah.
And
one thing I heard that you just said that I want to make sure we play back is that this manager that gave you also this feedback, you said legendary manager. So clearly it was someone that you were respecting, and you allowed them to provide you the feedback, and you embraced it.
Yes. I mean, I think that I will say throughout my career, I have been really, really blessed with good managers. And I think that at the time and again, with everyone, I think especially for me, I find, I don't want to make it an age thing. When I was younger, I didn't appreciate necessarily a good manager the same way that I do now. And at the time, I think that having a manager who is well respected, again, it depends on like how they cater their management style to you and how they adapt to you and to each individual person. For me, I am someone who needs to know that my manager is a human. I need to know that this person has feelings, this person has fears, that this person has aspirations and has like a vision and a plan, but also this person has vulnerability to allow me to help with their plan and contribute in a way that's meaningful, so that I can look back on this experience and say, hey, I helped build something big. And honestly,
shouldn't those be the minimum required for any manager?
You're telling me. I mean, that is what I think it should be. But the reality is that like people have goals and people have stuff going on in their lives. And so while I think that is the minimum requirements, there's a lot of managers out there who like don't necessarily have the bandwidth to be able to take that on. And maybe this is me being easy on managers who are doing that and be like, managers, toughen up and you deal with what you look at yourself and you solve those problems. But the reality is managers are people too. So like you don't always have that mental bandwidth or clarity at every point in time or in your career to be able to take on.
But
that.
I appreciate it. And I think, I mean, you and I might be the same age, probably. Or probably you're younger than me. I don't know. I'm 41.
I'm on my birthday. My birthday is in four. No, I'm not. Oh my God, I can't do math anymore. 7 days. So my
oh
birthday.
my God, you're a Scorpio. Amazing.
I am a Scorpio. Yeah.
So,
can't you tell?
I'm a Virgo myself. My husband is a Scorpio's birthday.
Oh, my fiance is a Virgo. So.
Oh my God, this is so amazing. We're like
I know, twinsies on the opposite side. This is great. No wonder we're vibing.
I mean, it seems that our generation of management is bringing a set of new expectations, both for us as managers of our people and for the leaders that are most senior to us. And, I'm grateful because my manager, she's a fantastic woman. She's inspired and all of it. And I do see that in corporation, though, we have this, I know the word in Italian, which is zoccolo duro. I don't know the sentence in English, but it's basically like, think about a horse, that piece of the horse that is at the end of their leg. What is it called?
The hoof?
Maybe it's the hoof. I'm going to search it, and I'm sure that is. But it's this strong part that is at the end, which is our most senior management, like those presidents and, VPs. And many of them are very old style still. Yeah. So here's my bomb to you. I'm known to be asking bomb and tough questions here. But how can we, I'm going to put myself in it as well, and also Jeff, survive and thrive in an environment where we're acting as change makers? And how can we hold the rest of the organization accountable?
I think that so I think in general, no one's going to help by staying silent about this kind of stuff. And I think that it is our responsibility as, and I do think, again, I think that millennials are part of this very resilient generation. We've had, a lot of good things, like we were able to see the time before internet and we were able to see the time after internet. And that's very cool to experience. But also we're a very confident generation just because we've been through a lot with all of these financial crises that have happened. So I think that it's our responsibility to speak up. And I think that speaking up can be done in a loud forum and it can be in a demanding forum. But for me, again, and I work in product marketing, everything is about catering to your audience. So the same way that you would adapt your management style to the people you manage, you have to adapt your communication style to any sort of harder firm managers that might be a little bit more old school. And I think that part of that is understanding what motivates them, really understanding what motivates them and what would actually get their behavior to change. And then really working with them and kind of leveling with them and just being honest and coming from a good place. I think that most managers, whether they're old school or whether they're hard and firm, whether they're that hard, tough hoof, everyone is a softie on the inside. And I think you just have to really be able to tap in to their emotions, their goals, and also their fears and vulnerabilities. And just to be able to say hey, I'm only here to help. And here's what I'm noticing. Or even if it's not about other people on the team, saying, this is what I need as a direct report. And here's how you're going to get the most out of me. But I think that having the confidence to say it up and come from a place of warmth, and come from a place of wanting to just solve a collective problem together, I think most humans would be receptive to that.
I really like this approach and the sentence you said, this is how you can get the most of me. And I feel that there's an angle that often doesn't get utilized enough. Like we tend to go to this leadership always with asks and things that we need and stuff like that. Whereas by taking the angle and saying, hey, this is how you can get the best out of me, everybody. Don't ping me at 9 p.m. in the evening. Text me or email me at 8 a.m. in the morning. I feel that if we were all more open and vulnerable in sharing our needs. Just this morning, I've read, I have my magic practice that I do every day. And just this morning, I was reading a passage about intuition. We all know what we need. We all know what we want. And sometimes just allowing for that to go through and say, hey, I don't sit well with a meeting at 1. Can we do it at 3? Like speaking up our mind and communicating, that helps others in meeting us where we are and pick out the gas of the way.
Absolutely. And I think that the biggest mistake that anyone can make, both in management of the workplace or outside of it, is assuming what someone else is thinking. Like, this is like therapy 101. And so I think it's like, I think that without communicating your part, and again, the communication can be everything from, blowing up angry, like I couldn't hold it in anymore, to like, hey, I just wanted to approach this or ask this, or it can be like, this doesn't really work for me. We got to change this. I think that communicating in any form is always productive and helpful, because at the end of the day, the person on the other side of that communication, just like you said, it helps others. I absolutely agree that they also want to do the right thing. They also want to have the best product. So as a result, like, if you're not going to hold up your end of the flag and communicate, like, why should they?
And this goes back to what you said before. I want to make sure I bring it forward. When you said the biggest lessons about management, I don't remember if you said the biggest, but you said that grounding yourself and taking care of yourself and knowing you is the foundation of all that. If someone is attacking you angry and says, whatever, I lost it. If the manager, if you in that moment are not grounded and you're not looking after yourself, you're going to blow it off back and it's going to be a disaster.
Well, I mean, I think that depends actually on personality type. So we did we had an executive coach come in back in 2018 and do a personality assessment for like all the managers and their managers and managers in the room, so on and so forth. And there are really 3 ways that people respond. Again, it's a personality test, so nothing is perfect. But there were blue people who, when things are going well, they tend to be really around making sure that there's unified harmony, everyone's voices are heard, that a collective, all ideas contribute collectively. But when they're attacked, they tend to kind of cave and give way, like saying, hey, everyone else, just you all be happy. I will sacrifice my happiness for you. There were reds, where reds tend to be like really, really assertive and self-going and like really goal-oriented, which is a high quality. But when they feel attacked, reds tend to lash back or respond back. And then there are greens, who they tend to be actually a little bit more reserved and quiet, a little bit more data focused. They really want to solve the entire problem before they speak up. So they're always trying to find the most optimal solution for everyone. Like, what is the right solution? Not the right solution for this group and not the right solution for me. But when they're attacked, they actually get very quiet and they kind of take a step back and say, what is going wrong? I'm not even going to respond. I can't even say anything. I'm kind of paralyzed. But like, I need to figure out what the solution is. So I'm going to recoil into my shell. And so I think some people do kind of blow up if that is your personality type, and that kind of gets back into the way you were raised and how your childhood went, and like all of these things that are outside of the workplace that could go back to kindergarten or your school. I think that some people kind of blow up. Some people just sort of cave to make other people happy. For me, I am equal parts blue and red when things are good. So I call it winning with friends. Like, it's not fun for me to win alone. And I don't like when I'm on a team that's losing. And so, equal parts blue and red is kind of what my personality came back as. But when I feel attacked, I'm actually very highly green. So I tend to recoil and I tend to take a step back and think, what is going on? And why is this person upset? Why am I upset? Why is this number not going up? Let me actually take some time to think about this before I respond.
Well, I'm a big fan of all those personality tests and the Clifton strengths. I'm a maximizer and a couple of other things. I really believe that getting a better knowledge of ourselves, so again, it goes back to grounding, can give us so many tools in thriving, especially in corporations where everyone has something going on at any point in time. Ted, I would say with you the whole day, you are such an interesting person. And I feel there are so many things that we even touched. Time is tight, and I'm so glad and grateful about your time. So if you would have to leave a message to our listeners, let's say something that condenses your spirit and a giveaway that you would like to gift, what would that be?
Yeah, so I think... there's a couple of different ways that I use, but they all have the same sort of ethos around them. And so I'll give you kind of the short version of it, which is everyone just go into life, go into management from 2 things: learn more, love more. because at the end of the day, yes, exactly. Learn more and love more, because one is you always want to be approaching things with a sense of curiosity, a sense of really wanting to understand more and being a bigger person or more holistic person yourself, but also being able to guide and coach people who need that sort of advice and who need that ability to be able to learn more. And then love more, which is that, like, you might know everything in the world, but you got to approach the world with an open heart, and you have to approach the world assuming good intent from people. And so I think with that, if you do those two things, you'll probably personally be a lot happier. I know I am after adopting that, but also you're going to make a light for those around you to also want to learn more and love more. And so that would be like the tidbit of information I'd give.
I love it. Hashtag learn more, love more.
Hashtag learn more, love more. Yes.
I have the influencer mindset.
There you go. There you go. Add those into the caption. Yes.
Oh, we will. We will, absolutely will. And you're right, because when you love more, you are starting from a position of positivity and assuming good intent. It's not always easy, but at least when we start from it, it puts the other people in a better situation, which doesn't mean that we don't require justice. I don't want to people
absolutely.
listening to this, thinking that we're all, sure, love more, and then people can walk on your body. No, justice is always important everywhere. Where can people find you, Ted, if they want to connect with you and, learn more from what you do? Where can they find you?
Absolutely. So I would say the best place to find me is actually LinkedIn. Ted Fernandez. I have, product marketing leader somewhere in my headline there. And so that would be the best place to find me. Admittedly, my socials are not as I don't actually invest as much time in my own personal social presence. But definitely find me on LinkedIn. If you're in San Francisco and you see me around, come up and say hi. I'll always say hi back.
I really like this. Listen, thank you for your time. No wonder that you and Jeff were friends, because it seems that you share the same type of soul, which is an amazing soul, like all of our 99 humans. And thank you for your time today. And I wish you the best of this Friday.
Yes, honestly, have a wonderful Friday, wonderful weekend, Nadia. Thank you so much for your time as well.
Bye.
Bye.
So everybody, talking to Ted is being so amazing and incredible. If you like this episode, give us 5 stars. It really helps our show in getting more traction and more visibility. And what can I say? Hashtag learn more, love more from Ted. Have a nice day. Thanks for listening. Ciao.